For 8 years now, I, as well as the whole Kung Fu Panda community, have considered Kung Fu Panda 3 to be the weakest of the trilogy. Well, now it's been dethroned by Kung Fu Panda 4, so congratulations. I mean, this movie isn't necessarily bad per se, but this movie is just straight up mediocre. This is like the Shrek the Third to Kung Fu Panda. No, this is the Dreamworks equivalent of Sonic Forces. Seriously, they brought back a bunch of past villains just to have their abilities get taken away and be cast to the side. Seriously, Tai Lung was literally the only one to have lines, mainly because they didn't want to pay Gary Oldman or J.K. Simmons, probably. I also didn't like how they brought back Shen. I mean, look, even though he's my favorite Kung Fu Panda villain of all time, as well as my favorite DreamWorks villain period, his story was already wrapped up in Kung Fu Panda 2, and it was wrapped up nicely. The dude accepted his fate when he found out the warrior in black and white that was fated to end him was actually himself. So basically, even conceptually, bringing back Shen was a bad idea. Especially since he and Kai could have been written out of the plot and pretty much nothing would have changed. Tai Lung was the only one with lines, but in the end, he's really just clickbait for a mid-AF movie. I mean, come on, think about what they could have done with Tai Lung when they brought him back. I mean, a Tai Lung redemption story sounds way better than what happened in this movie if you ask me. And while I'm on the topic of villains, allow me to express my thoughts on the Chameleon. I'll admit, it's a decent concept to have a shape-shifting villain that could be among the heroes without anyone knowing, but I just think Shua is underwhelming, to be honest. I mean, what is the first evil thing she does on screen? She pushes a bear down a flight of stairs. Really? Tai Lung attacks a village, Shen commits mass genocide, and Kai defeats Uruguay. That alone should show how threatening the other Kung Fu Panda villains felt compared to the Chameleon. And even her motivation just falls flat. I mean, come on. With a shape-shifting villain like her, there are like a million different directions you could go with it. But the one they pick is, wow, I'm too small to learn Kung Fu. So Mantis doesn't exist? Speaking of Mantis, the Furious 5 are not even featured in this movie. Probably because, just like with the past villains, they didn't want to pay the voice actors, I guess. Poe's the same as ever for the most part, but for some reason Shifu's like, hey, you can't be the Dragon Warrior anymore. Pick a successor. Like, what? I mean, yeah, I guess that's natural progression, and Poe would have had to find someone to pass the torch to eventually, but I don't know. As of now, it seems like he's kind of in his prime if I'm being honest. It's not like Lightning McQueen's case in Cars 3, where he simply can't compete with the next generation of race cars or whatever. Poe can still handle things just fine. Throughout the movie, it's built up that Poe should start resolving things without kicking butt because of his path to the spiritual leader, but that fails against the Chameleon, so then he's like, okay, back to kicking butt, like he always does, which makes his arc in this movie pointless. At this point, he's just kind of there to say skadoosh and whatnot. To be honest, Poe hasn't really had any character development since Kung Fu Panda 2, if I'm being honest. I also didn't like how this movie prioritized comedy over making a high-quality story that could be taken seriously. I mean, yeah, Kung Fu Pandas 1 and 2 had their fair share of funny moments, but at the same time, they at least knew how to take themselves seriously. Like Shrek the Third, I feel like this movie not only misunderstands the concept of Kung Fu Panda, but I also feel like this movie permanently damaged the reputation for Kung Fu Panda. And at this point, I think they should just stop milking the bizarre adventures of the big fat panda. I mean, at least Shrek knew when to quit. Wait. But while I'm on the topic of Shrek, look at The Last Wish. This right here was when I thought DreamWorks would be back on their feet from mediocrity. I mean, come on, imagine a Kung Fu Panda movie with The Last Wish's art style. But nope, we got this and Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. And before you ask, no, I have not seen the latter yet. But just know that I think Megamind was just a great standalone movie that never really needed a sequel. But, whatever. To plug it all in, I rate Kung Fu Panda 4 a 5 out of 10. If they really plan on making a 5th movie, they really need to step it up. Though, to be honest, I think they should have ended Poe's arc at 3, but that's just me. I feel like Kung Fu Panda 4 was just unneeded in the first place. Like, the only thing in this movie that has a change in the franchise is Poe training Zen. That's it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you look forward to the other content I have planned for the future. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya, chump!